Welcome to Vator Box. I'm Bambi Francisco. With me, as always, is Ezra Roizen, our Vator Box regular, and our guest host this week is Jeff Smith. He's the CEO and co-founder of Smule, which is a maker of many popular iPhone apps. Jeff, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Bambi.
So this week we're going to take a look at Heyzap, which is a company, a young startup that wants to be the YouTube for casual games. So let's take a look at their video.
Hi everyone, I'm Jude Gamilla from Heyzap.com, and this is my co-founder.
I'm Imad Akun from Heyzap.com as well.
So what we do is we allow any website to get casual games onto their site. So if you've got a blog, or if you're running a website, or you've got the MySpace page, we just allow you to get casual games really simply into your blog or website. It's like a couple of clicks and you got it straight in. Super simple.
So we aggregate games from across the internet. We have more than 12,000 games, and we have a widget that anyone can plug in very easily. We also have an API and RSS feed, so you can get access to the games and kind of position them how you want. And we're making some other cool stuff, so you can get games into your named website and things like that. So advertising is definitely going to play a part in what we do. At the moment, we work with Mochi Media, and they provide a lot of advertising. And you've got opportunities to do video ads while the game is loading, so that can be very much a part of a user's experience. I think as we move forward, opportunities will develop in virtual goods as well. So that's been a big thing in like social games, especially on Facebook and MySpace, and that's going to extend out to the rest of the web. So we're really open to kind of ideas and opportunities there. I think the whole flash gaming market is pretty young when it comes to monetization, even though there's a lot of engagement.
I think that even though this isn't a typical pitch, for a minute 25 they did, it was nice and succinct. You got to understand what the product is, how they use it, and how consumers will consume it, and how they plan to make money.
I think it's a great pitch. It actually sounds like they know what they're doing, which is refreshing.
Yeah.
I thought he had great hair.
Great hair.
Let's start with, too many founders do too much with their hair, too little. This guy, it was the right mix, it was the right length, and I would compliment Jude. Dude, nice hair, nice accent. Accent sounded sincere.
And smarter.
Right.
Sounds a lot smarter.
Right. So I agree. I think I hit the major points.
Okay, great. How about novelty and the idea of being able to upload casual games, being creating this platform for developers to create casual games and have it distributed?
They're creating an ensemble of not very novel ideas into a new novel combination. So the in concert is somewhat novel, but there are, Congregate did the Flash games thing, and people could sort of publish through Congregate. And there are other folks that have endeavored into the Flash games market. I think that they seem to have a nice strategy. What I liked about them is they have clear thoughts about monetization. They clearly know how all this stuff fits together, and that they were even thinking about virtual currency and other ways of essentially extending into more social applications and integration points was great. I mean, I think Zynga does a great job of bringing everybody into sort of a community to compete against each other.
So the novelty there you're saying is that they're already thinking about the business model, whereas YouTube, because they want to be the YouTube for Flash games, didn't really think about a business model.
I would avoid the YouTube analogy, because for me that's the massive vortex of unmonetizable content. So I would want to be something else. Be the Amazon of games. Be the place where people actually make money versus the place where people don't make money.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of potential there, and the two founders seem really articulate and capable. And but it's not baked yet. There's still a lot of open questions, and we can get to those in a moment, I'm sure. But to me, I think they're still scratching around of what the value proposition is. I mean, ultimately, what is the value proposition? Is this a platform? Is this something else? It is novel. It's an aggregation of novel, which arguably is also novel. Mm-hmm. But I think my general impression on the novelty point is that, it's just not quite baked yet.
Not quite baked. But they're in as Mark Pincus would say, they've got a good macro.
Great macro.
It's casual games. What about the challenges? Okay, so what if we were sitting here advising them?
Competition.
So
much. There's going to be tons of competition. I mean, there's gaming, casual gaming, widgets. I mean, you're putting yourself into the heart of Web 2.0, and where everybody basically wants to establish a foothold. So there's going to be tons. I mean, think of the number of people who want real estate on other people's blogs and other people's profiles. I mean, everybody's trying to grab that real estate. So you're competing against lots and lots of other folks. So you have to create really, at the end of the day, you got to create great games. People have to want to play these games, or they have to get great games included in their network. And they have to create incentives for people who want to put those things on their site. So they have to think about what's the incentives, and most of them aren't going to be monetary because these aren't going to be high volume locations.
Right.
So what are the reasons, status, or other things that are going to cause people to want to have this on their site?
Well, Jeff would know this really well because when you have a consumer-facing app, you've had to fight your way to try to get consumption, or maybe you didn't have to fight because it was easier, people just adopted it. But what do they have to do to get noticed?
Well, I think they have the opposite challenge than we do. We're building applications and a platform behind it. So we're very much not build it and they will come. It's like, let's generate revenue on day one. Let's set the value proposition on day one. Here, it's a derivative value proposition where they have to get other people basically to put the widgets on their sites and other people to use, quote unquote, the platform.
And to create the
correct, and to create the games. And so there's going to be 2 to 3 steps to get value out there to the customer, and then the question is, well, what do they got to do to motivate that, right? What do they got to do to motivate a site to put this widget on their site? What do they got to do to motivate a casual gamer to then drop into, I presume there's a network under this, and that's how they're managing this. And if I'm a casual game author today, I'm probably not going to go here. I'm probably going to go to one of the top casual gaming sites, Play First, EA's casual gaming site, and I'm going to push my content through that site because I know instant traffic out of the gate, right?
What are those companies' names? Play First or?
Play First.
Or King.com. I mean, there's lots and lots of casual gaming sites.
Right.
There's lots and lots of online casual gaming sites
Wild
where basically that's where the user is going to find a casual game, which to me is the second challenge. The first challenge is a platform play. They're a couple steps removed from where the value proposition is, and they got a dependency not only on the guys hosting the website, but they got a dependency on the casual game authors themselves to actually sign up for this network. And I think those are 2 significant challenges. But the second challenge is all right, if I am the website, just to drill down on that first point, why do I want to put this on my site, right?
Right.
And maybe I want to put it on my site because it's going to drive traffic or what have you, but is that why people are coming to my site? I'm not sure. Perhaps it depends on the site. And so I think this is one of those value propositions where it's really going to be hard for them to kind of test it because they're going to be so far removed from what the consumer is actually doing with their application.
I think that's great, and I agree with that. And I think that if they're going to do these sort of distributed distribution model, they have to figure out ways to sort of coalesce or catalyze those micro communities. So you have to do things like issue challenges to all your friends who read your blog, or whatever it may be, where there's a community that you can somehow engage, because you're going to have to get really high engagement. Because it's probably not a traffic driver; it's an engagement enhancer.
Right.
So the reality is that it's going to be something which causes more consumption on whatever the site is. So probably not going to bring people there, maybe a little bit. So I think they got to figure out really clever ways to sort of bind those little communities together and get them competing with each other and having fun together and creating dialogue. But just being a fun game, another spot to find Tetris, probably isn't going to do it.
I agree with that. But by the way, let me digress for a moment. I'm actually disappointed that I'm agreeing with Ezra so much because Ezra kind of pounded on Smule last month, and kind of like this is my opportunity to kind of come back and get in Ezra's face. And he's actually been a gracious host, and unfortunately, I've almost agreed with everything he's had to say thus far. But I'm holding out. I'm sure that there's going to be controversy here later on. And I did notice a seating arrangement where you put us together. I think that was by design, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
We want you guys to be friends.
For me, I'll throw out one other challenge, and sorry to pick on you guys, because look, I love the energy. I love kind of this net you're casting, and I think the fact is you're going to learn a lot. And then the question is, what do you do based on what you learn? But to me, the third challenge is that if I really wanted this on my website, how hard would it be for me to build a widget and to drop in casual games? And I just don't know how hard that is.
Well, it would be very difficult. I wouldn't know how to build a widget and put on a casual game.
Yeah.
Okay. So it sounds like even if their model is advertising, which it sounds like that's part of it. The business model could overlay as advertising or pre-roll when the game is uploaded. It sounds like what you 2 are saying is that, first of all, you don't even know who's going to be putting this stuff on their websites.
Yeah.
You
So
don't even
you
know
have
who's
an
gonna
advertising
adopt.
matching challenge, which is the essence of advertising, which is how you match what you're showing to who the audience is. So you have to have demographic data. Maybe you have some, maybe you don't. You don't know who that audience is. So that's non-trivial technological challenge. You got to figure out how you optimize the matching of the audience and the ad. You have to get, obviously, people want to advertise on this platform, so I think that's great. I do think they have, if they can get people playing the games, on the upside, there is a good engagement moment where someone's waiting for the game. You could flash them a 15-second ad. It's a video ad, which is probably a pretty premium ad. So that is actually rather nice. So, I mean, there's some good things and bad things. To create virtual currency, though, they have to create the drivers of virtual currency, which are essentially ego-driven for the most part, and accomplishment-driven. So they have to have longer games where people want to basically get the next thing, the sword, whatever it is, to get to the next level. Or they have to have status, which you get from basically giving up a food chain.
Just nodding.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I don't know how they even get to the virtual currency because that implies some integration with the actual games. And are they going to get access to achievement models and currencies through their widget? Well, that implies that each casual game author is going to have to write directly to their platform. And so is the casual game author going to be motivated to use this virtual currency and to write directly to the platform? Yeah. Perhaps not. Right. With respect to the advertising-based business model, I'm skeptical of those. I'm skeptical, at least today. And of course, you have Google, which has machines minting money in the basement of every building. Yet the flip side is that we've interviewed people from Google that are potentially venturing out, and it's like, well, Google really doesn't do any advertising, right? I mean, they sell that as a business model, AdWords and the rest. But how much advertising do they do? And they almost make fun of Yahoo. Well, Yahoo, they're the company that has to do all the advertising to compensate for their deficient products. We don't, and we kind of don't believe in it. It's almost like they have to fight to have a marketing department every year. And this is coming from the company that's minting money in advertising. Right. So, anyway,
it's a tough model. It's tough because you've got to have a huge amount of scale. I think you can do it, but I mean clearly, Facebook's a huge company, a huge successful company. Google's a huge company, successful. Google is tremendously more successful because they're not based on display ads, they're not based on other models. They're based on search. Search is the killer app for advertising.
Right.
So we've got to wrap this up here. We want to give some advice to these guys. Besides the fact that Jude has nice hair and it's a novel idea, but these guys have $500,000 to $1 million. They're very frugal. They're keeping it in the fridge. Like we found out. So we got to the money's got to come out of the fridge at some point, and they've got to spend it. So give them some advice to these guys.
I would keep the burn low and really focus on what. Following Jeff's point, I would focus on what your consumers are really doing and what's working. So I think if there are apps which are driving a lot of usage, which are getting people engaged in the little micro communities, focus on developing those. I wouldn't focus. I believe this is a hits business, so I wouldn't try to make it up with thousands and thousands of points of light. I would try to figure out where are the few things that really get people excited and that really work, and make those awesome. So I wouldn't necessarily diffuse across the zillions. I think bragging having 12,000 games may not be the best. May not be the best approach. I think that maybe there's 20 which are fantastic, which really kill it. Puzzle Pirates, whatever it may be. You got to get the great game.
Yeah, a few games, not
a few games,
right? Possibly.
I think they got to find a value proposition. Keep the hair, don't get a haircut. But I think there's a value proposition in there somewhere. I don't think they found it yet. And I think the key is to get closer to the consumer and to figure out how they can kind of tweak their network to get as close to that consumer as possible, and then measure it. And I think if you're disciplined about that, you're gonna figure that out with 500K.
Yeah.
Great, good. Thanks, guys. Well, you've heard it from the experts here, and Jude and Imad, the two co-founders. I hope we helped you out a little bit and gave you some good advice to move forward. So Ezra and Jeff, thanks for the advice. And you've been watching Vator Box. I'm Baby Francisco. We'll see you next time on Vator News.